this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to be talking about patterns like shawls and wraps that are worked from the center out. For this video I'll be using Lion Brand's LB collection cotton bamboo and a Furls Odyssey hook. Now, what do I mean by from the center out? Now, sometimes in a pattern from the center out means you start with a circle and you work in circles on, or maybe even half circles from the center of that pattern on out towards the edges. For this, I'm talking about something a little different. It's typically a rectangle, and you're going to have half the pattern made in one direction and then the other half of the pattern going in the other direction. Why would you do that? You would do it when the pattern calls for it, and typically when they call for it, it's because the pattern has a direction to it. You can see here I just have a simple V-stitch. This is just for demonstration purposes. It could be any sort of stitch in the pattern. But you can see that V-stitches definitely have a direction. It looks different this way than it does upside down. So if I were to make a wrap or a scarf or a long shawl with this, I might want to work from the center out so that when both sides hang down over the shoulders, they're facing the same direction. So if that's clear, let me show you what it means when you run into the directions for this. Now there's several different ways that they can phrase it. It might be said, make in two halves. The pattern might read, work across the remaining loops of the beginning chain, or join to foundation chain. And that usually happens about halfway through the pattern. So here I have just a simple swatch of V-stitches. Let's say this is half of the shawl, half of the wrap already done. Now it's time to make the other half. How do I join? It might specify to join from one side or the other in terms of the right side, wrong side. This little swatch doesn't really have a right side, wrong side, but you'll have to read the pattern you're following to see if that's the case. So let's say this is the right side that we want to join to. What I'm going to do is I will have gotten to this end and broken my yarn, and then I'll take the end of my yarn, like so, and I will just go ahead and join it right to the unused loops of the foundation chain. Now, when I worked into my foundation chain, I chose to work into just the back hump of the chain, leaving two loops on the bottom. So if I'm going to work back across it, those will be the two loops I'll go under to start the second half of the pattern. So just like so, I would join here to this first stitch, maybe chain if I'm going to do V-stitches again, and just start working in the pattern. Again, it just depends on the actual pattern you're following. There is a pattern like this on mooglyblog.com, a free one, called the Alpaca Your Wrap, and it uses this technique because of the direction of the stitches. So from here, I would just work in the same stitch pattern across. So where I've got the bottom of a V-stitch here, I'd work the bottom of the next V-stitch, like so. In this way, I am able to mirror the first half with the second half. Like so. I would just continue on across using the unused loops of the foundation chain, whether that's one loop, two loops, just depends how you chose to work into that first foundation chain. If you have started your first half of your pattern using foundation stitches, like foundation single crochet or foundation double crochet, then this part's even easier because you have a really nice set of two loops there to work into. But as I work across, you can see that it's really quite simple. You just go back to that foundation chain, whether it was actual foundation stitches or just a chain as it was here, and turn your piece upside down and work right on across it as if that first half almost wasn't there. Normally, you will be matching up the stitches as I'm doing here, but again, that can just depend on the pattern you're following. But I have had some people write in asking questions about how to do this. What does it mean when they say make in two halves or work out from the center? And it's clearly not a round piece. And typically, this is the sort of thing it means. So as you can see, I have finished my first row here on our teeny tiny little shawl. And in this way, from this center line, the foundation chain becomes the center line of the shawl. And I've got one set going off this way and the second half coming off this way. And this way, you'll have a really symmetrical look in the finished project. So I hope this has helped explain and answer some of your questions you might have had about patterns like this. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give us a thumbs up, let me know what you think in the comments, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching.